Grant Foley smiled while he signed papers that were never his to sign. Nobody in the room knew it yet. But by the end of this story, that smile would cost a man everything. 3 weeks before that, Colton Brooks sat across from his grandmother in a house with 40 rooms and asked her the only question that scared him. "Grandma, I want you to pick my wife." Dorothy Brooks set down her tea. She was 82 years old and had buried a husband, raised a son, and now raised a grandson too. She looked at Colton for a long moment. "That is the biggest decision of your whole life. And you want me to make it for you?" "You've never been wrong about people," Colton said. "Not once." Dorothy nodded slowly. Something in her eyes said she already had an idea. Nobody else in that house knew what it was. "You've never failed this family before," Colton said. "Whatever you decide, I'll trust it." "Then stop searching with your eyes," Dorothy said. "Your eyes have only ever found beauty. Your heart has been waiting for something else. It's been waiting for character." Colton looked out at the city lights past the window. "How am I supposed to find someone like that, Grandma? Everyone I meet recognizes my last name before they even look at my face." "You won't find her," Dorothy said. "I will." He almost laughed. "You really think you can pick out the one woman who actually loves me, out of everyone in the world?" "I've spent 82 years watching people hide behind smiles and expensive clothes and pretty words," Dorothy said. "A sincere heart can't stay hidden forever, Colton. Not from someone who knows how to look." Hashtag the 3 women. 3 women arrived at Brooks Manor within the same hour, each one certain she would leave as Colton's fiancée. Aubrey Chase stepped out of a car worth more than most houses. "I've admired the Brooks family for years," she said, smiling at everyone, but looking only at Colton. "I promise I'll make you very happy." Madison Vale walked in like she owned the floor already. "Strong families should join with strong families," she said. "Together we could be the most powerful couple in the country." Kayla Ross barely looked at Colton at all. Her eyes went straight to the chandeliers, the paintings, the marble floor. She was already redecorating in her head. None of them noticed the young woman standing quietly near the kitchen door with a tray of tea. Her name was Harper Doyle. She had worked at Brooks Manor for 8 months. Nobody asked her name. Nobody needed to. She was just the maid. "Would anyone like their tea poured?" Harper asked. Nobody answered her. Aubrey didn't even turn her head. Dorothy Brooks did. "Stay right there, dear," Dorothy said quietly. "The people everyone ignores are usually the ones worth watching." Colton frowned. "Grandma, why would you say that?" "Because a lifetime of watching people has taught me the heart sees things the eyes miss completely." Nobody understood what she meant. Not yet. Colton's assistant appeared in the doorway, holding a tablet. "Sir, a magazine wants another interview. The investors from overseas have landed early, and Miss Chase sent another bouquet of flowers to your office." "Tell the magazine to wait," Colton said. "Push the investors to tomorrow, and give the flowers to the hospital downtown. Somebody there might actually want them." Later that night, Kayla found him on the balcony. "I found the most beautiful villa on the coast," she said, sliding closer. "We should buy it. It's exactly the kind of place people like us deserve." "Is that what you've been thinking about?" Colton asked. "While we've been sitting here all evening, you can easily afford it. Why not enjoy your own money?" Colton exhaled. "Thank you for reminding me exactly why I've stayed single this long." Dorothy watched the exchange from a window above and said nothing. She didn't need to. She was still counting. Hashtag the first test. The next morning, Dorothy gathered all 3 guests in the kitchen. "Your first test," she said, "is breakfast. You will cook it yourselves." Aubrey laughed out loud. "This house has 3 chefs. Why would I cook?" "I've genuinely never made breakfast in my life," Madison admitted. "Someone has always done it for me." Kayla just stared at the stove like it was a foreign object. Dorothy's face didn't change. "I'm not testing your cooking. I'm testing whether you can serve without expecting applause." The kitchen turned into chaos. Smoke rose from 3 different pans. Aubrey secretly texted a restaurant, begging for a delivery before anyone noticed. Madison burned eggs so badly the smoke alarm nearly went off. Only one person moved calmly through the kitchen like she'd done this 1,000 times before. "You're not even nervous," Madison snapped at Harper. "I've been cooking since I was small," Harper said. "My mom used to say food made with love heals people before they even know they're hurt." When Dorothy tasted each plate, she said little to the others. But when she tasted Harper's, she went quiet for a long moment. "This doesn't just feed me," Dorothy said. "It reminds me of family." of someone who actually cared while making it. Harper smiled. That's exactly what my mom taught me. Never forget those words, Dorothy said. They say more about your heart than anything else you could cook. Aubrey watched the whole exchange with narrowed eyes. She's only a maid, she muttered to Madison. Why is Mrs. Brooks even talking to her like that? Careful, Madison whispered back. The old woman clearly has a soft spot for her. That could be a problem. Neither of them noticed Dorothy standing close enough to hear every word. Hashtag the garden question. That evening, Dorothy found Harper kneeling in the garden, trimming flowers nobody had asked her to touch. You didn't have to do this, Dorothy said. They looked like they needed a little extra care, Harper said. Everything does, sometimes. Dorothy sat on the bench nearby. Let me ask you something, and I want the truth, not the pretty answer. Okay. If Colton lost every company, every house, every dollar tomorrow, would you still want to be near him? Harper didn't hesitate. Money can vanish overnight, but kindness can't be taken in a bankruptcy. Mr. Brooks has always spoken to the staff with respect. He remembers our names. He says thank you like he means it. Losing his fortune wouldn't change who he actually is. Dorothy's eyes were wet. That is the answer I have waited my whole life to hear. I wasn't trying to impress you, Harper said quietly. You asked for the truth. That's all I know how to give. Dorothy studied her a moment longer. Most people spend their whole lives chasing money and completely miss the value of a good heart. A good heart is worth protecting, Harper said. It's a lot harder to find than money ever will be. You've answered better than I even hoped, Dorothy said. Don't ever let this world talk you out of the goodness in you. As long as I remember what my parents taught me, Harper said, I don't think I'll lose it. Dorothy smiled, but her eyes looked far away, like she was remembering someone else entirely. That's a beautiful way to honor them, dear. Sometimes life answers a prayer so quietly, we don't even notice the answer has been standing beside us the whole time. Harper didn't understand what she meant. Not yet. Hashtag the man in the shadows. While Colton spent his days with 3 strangers competing for his hand, another man was busy in the shadows of the same company that carried the Brooks name. Grant Foley had been Colton's business partner for 6 years. Everyone trusted him. That was exactly the problem. Get every transfer finished before the board meeting, Grant told his assistant. Once Colton signs, Brooks Industries belongs to me and he won't even know it happened. Are you sure he won't notice, sir? Grant smiled. Colton is distracted by family, marriage, feelings. Distracted men never see the knife until it's already in their back. And if he finds out before the papers go through? He won't, Grant said. He's too busy falling in love with a maid to notice his own company slipping through his fingers. His assistant hesitated. What if she's the one who notices something first? Grant laughed, low and cold. She's a maid. Nobody's going to listen to a maid over me. He didn't know yet how wrong he was. Hashtag the storm. A storm hit the mansion 2 nights later, knocking out the power. In the dark and confusion, Colton slipped on the marble stairs and crashed down hard, his leg twisting beneath him. Kayla worried out loud about the marble floor being scratched. Madison panicked about not being able to reach her phone. Aubrey stood frozen, unsure what to do. Harper was already on her knees beside Colton. Lean on me, she said. I'm not going anywhere. I don't think it's broken, but I need ice and bandages now. You reacted before anyone else even understood what happened, Colton said later, wincing through the pain. Anyone would do the same for someone hurting, Harper said. No, Colton said. Not everyone would. He watched her wrap ice in a towel with steady hands. No panic in her at all, like she'd already decided fear was a waste of time. He'd seen 100 people flinch away from him his whole life. She hadn't flinched once. Where did you learn to stay so calm? He asked. When everything around you is falling apart. My mom used to say panic never fixed anything, Harper said. It just makes the person hurting feel more alone. Colton didn't say anything else. But something in his chest had already shifted, and he wasn't sure how to put it into words yet. Hashtag the offer. Grant Foley visited the mansion while Colton recovered. He found Harper in the hallway and pulled her aside. You must be Harper, he said. I've heard you've become very important around here. Can I help you with something, Mr. Foley? Colton trusts you, Grant said, lowering his voice. That kind of trust is worth a lot of money. All I need is for you to convince him to sign a few documents without asking questions. Do that, and you'll never work as a maid again. Harper's face went cold. You're asking me to betray the one person who's always treated me like I matter. I call it an opportunity, Grant said. Opportunities like this don't come twice. Integrity isn't for sale, Mr. Foley. Not for any price. Everyone has a price. You don't know me as well as you think, Harper said. Some people would rather sleep peacefully with an honest heart than live comfortably with a guilty one. Grant's smile disappeared. You'll regret this. When everything falls apart, remember I gave you a chance to be on the winning side. The winning side, Harper said, is the one that lets you look in the mirror without shame. He left without another word. But his eyes promised this wasn't over. Harper stood alone in the hallway for a long moment after he left, her heart pounding harder than she wanted to admit. She hadn't told anyone about the offer. She wasn't sure anyone would believe her over a man like Grant Foley. So she folded it up quietly and kept working, the way she always did, and told herself it didn't matter. She was wrong about that too. It mattered more than she knew. Hashtag the choice. Dorothy called everyone into the living room. I've made my decision, she said. Aubrey lit up. Madison straightened her posture. Kayla smiled like she'd already won. Before I say anything, Dorothy said, I want to ask one final question. If Colton lost everything tomorrow, would you still marry him? We would need to talk about what our future would even look like, Aubrey said carefully. Marriage needs stability. Nobody chooses financial uncertainty on purpose. Dorothy nodded slowly, then turned toward the kitchen door. Harper, come here, please. Harper stepped forward, confused. Did you need something, Mrs. Brooks? I'm asking you the same question. Your answer matters just as much as theirs. Harper looked at Colton, then back at Dorothy. A person's worth was never measured by a bank account. If a good man loses his money, he can build it again. If he loses his character, he's already lost everything. Mr. Brooks has treated every person in this house like they matter. Whether he owns 10 companies or none, he'll still be the same man. She's just saying that to impress everyone, Madison snapped. I wasn't trying to impress anyone, Harper said. You asked for the truth. That's all I know how to give. She's the maid, Aubrey said, disgusted. This was never meant for someone like her. Dorothy's voice turned sharp. Enough. I've watched all of you carefully these past days. The woman who deserves my grandson's heart isn't one of my 3 guests. Silence. It's Harper Doyle. Hashtag the secret. Mrs. Brooks, there must be some mistake, Harper whispered. I'm just the maid. I didn't choose a maid, Dorothy said. I chose the only person in this house who never once asked what Colton could give her. Colton stepped closer to Harper, his legs still healing. Before anyone says another word, I want to hear what you have to say. Is there any chance we could have a future together? Harper's hands trembled. There's something I've never told you. Something I think you deserve to know. You don't have to be afraid, Colton said. Long before I worked here, my mom worked for your parents. When I was little, she used to bring me along during school breaks because she had nowhere else for me to go. I used to sit under the big oak tree with a basket of sandwiches while she worked. Colton went still. Wait, are you the little girl who always sat under that tree? You used to sneak away from your tutors just to eat lunch with me, Harper said, her voice breaking. You once told me you wish someone would be your friend without caring about your last name. You gave me half your lunch every single day, Colton whispered, even though your mom barely packed enough for you. You always insisted on sharing anyway, Harper said, tears in her eyes now. You said food tasted better when nobody ate alone. I looked for you for years, Harper said. Nobody would tell me where you went. My dad died, Colton said quietly. My mom moved us away because staying here hurt too much. But I never forgot you. All these years, I searched everywhere for someone with the kind of heart you had as a kid, and you'd been pouring my tea the whole time. This is absolutely unbelievable, Aubrey scoffed. It's obviously a story she made up to manipulate everyone. Truth doesn't become a lie just because you don't like the timing, Dorothy said flatly. Hashtag the betrayal. The celebration didn't last long. Grant Foley walked in without knocking, holding a folder. Sorry to ruin a happy moment, he said, but this can't wait. Grant, whatever it is, it can wait until tomorrow, Colton said. Tomorrow will be too late. Brooks Industries already belongs to me. The room froze. Every transfer, every contract, every signature, Grant said, smiling. All yours, Colton. Forged, of course, but the board already accepted them. You forged my name. You trusted me like family, Grant said. That trust made you easy to beat. Anyone who sells out loyalty for money eventually loses both, Harper said quietly. Grant's smile faded. You should have taken my offer when you had the chance. I'd rather stand next to an honest man with nothing, Harper said, than a liar with everything. Colton's face turned pale. He grabbed his chest and dropped to the floor. Colton! Harper screamed. She was on the ground beside him before anyone else even moved, pressing her hands over his chest, shouting for someone to call for help. Dorothy stood frozen in the doorway, one hand pressed to her mouth. Grant backed toward the exit, his folder still tucked under his arm, his face blank in a way that would haunt Harper for weeks. Stay with me, Harper said, over and over, like the words themselves could hold him together. Stay with me, Colton. You promised me we'd have more time than this. The paramedics arrived fast, but not fast enough to slow her racing heart. They lifted him onto a stretcher, calling out numbers Harper didn't understand, words like crashing and unstable that made her knees go weak. I'm going with him, she said, and nobody argued. Hashtag the silent hours. The ambulance ride was a blur of sirens and shouting. Doctors rushed him into surgery. Harper sat outside the operating room for hours, saying nothing, her hands folded so tightly her knuckles turned white. Dorothy sat beside her. You love him, don't you? Dorothy said. It wasn't really a question. I've loved him since we were kids, Harper whispered. I just never wanted him to think I stayed because of his money. That's exactly why I chose you, Dorothy said. Your love was never for his fortune. Neither of them said another word for a long time. The hallway was silent except for the quiet hum of machines behind a closed door. A doctor finally stepped out, mask still hanging from one ear. The surgery went well. He's stable, but critical. The next few hours matter most. Thank you, Dorothy whispered, gripping the doctor's hand like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Harper didn't move from the chair outside his room. Not that night, not the next. She held his hand through the machines and the beeping and the long silences, whispering the same words every few hours, half prayer and half promise. You told me you weren't going anywhere, she said. So don't you dare break that promise now. Hashtag the irreversible choice. Colton woke up 3 weeks later. The doctors said his recovery was almost impossible to explain. Medicine helped, they said, but someone stayed by his side every single night, and that mattered more than any medicine could. You stayed, Colton whispered. I told you I wasn't going anywhere, Harper said. When I get out of here, Colton said, I have a lot to make right. He didn't wait for full strength to return. 3 weeks after waking up, Colton stood in front of a mirror, staring at the man he used to be, the man who trusted too easily. Are you sure you're ready? Harper asked. The doctor said to take it easy. My body is healing, Colton said. My company isn't. Grant's had control long enough. Do you have proof? Colton held up a folder. Every forged signature. Every stolen contract. Every secret payment. It's all here. There was no going back once he walked through those office doors. He knew it. Harper knew it too. Then I'll stand beside you, she said. Whatever happens. Dorothy met them at the door before they left, pressing a small folded paper into Colton's hand. One more thing you should have, she said. Records from all those years ago. Your mother kept them. Proof of everything Harper's family ever meant to ours, long before you two found each other again. Colton looked at his grandmother, stunned. You knew all along. I suspected, Dorothy said. The moment I saw her, something about her felt like coming home. I just needed to watch long enough to be sure. Hashtag the ending that changes everything. Colton walked into Brooks Industries with the folder under his arm and Harper at his side. Every employee turned to look. Grant Foley stood near the boardroom door, his confident smile still in place, a smile that hadn't yet realized it was already too late. Colton, Grant said, forcing a laugh. You're supposed to be resting. I did enough resting, Colton said, while you stole a company that took my father his whole life to build. He dropped the folder on the table in front of the board. Forged signatures, fake approvals, secret bank transfers, all traced back to one name. By the end of today, Colton said, everyone in this building will know exactly what you did. Grant's face went white. He looked at the door. He looked at Harper. And for the first time since the story began, the man who had spent his whole life taking things from other people had nothing left to take. You can't prove any of this, he said, but his voice had already lost its confidence. I don't need to prove it, Colton said. The board already has. Security is waiting outside that door, Grant. You have about 30 seconds before they walk you out of a building that was never yours to steal. Security appeared in the doorway right on cue. Grant's shoulders dropped. He didn't fight it. He just walked, past every employee who used to smile at him in the hallway, past the office he thought he'd already won, and out through the front doors he would never walk through again. What nobody in that boardroom knew, what only Dorothy Brooks had guessed months earlier, sitting quietly with her tea, was that the real test had never been about breakfast or flowers or fancy answers to hard questions. It had been about who stayed when nobody was watching. Grant Foley had spent years watching for the moment Colton would look away. Harper Doyle had spent her whole life watching for the moment someone needed help, and never once looking away. That was the difference between the man who lost everything and the woman who never had anything to lose in the first place.